The Kalari Alliance had never faced anything like the Grawl. The Grawl were not just invaders. They were monsters in armor, spreading fire and fear across every world they touched. They crushed cities, broke defenses, and left nothing but silence behind. The Kalari were scholars, builders, and explorers. They had no real warriors. Their weapons were made to protect, not to destroy. Their fleets were strong but slow. In a few months, the Alliance had lost 10 systems. The Kalari leaders were desperate. They sent out a call to every known part of the galaxy. It was not a message of pride. It was a message of survival. They needed help, any help. Ships, soldiers, even mercenaries. Anyone who could fight. One answer came back. It came from a place most Kalari had only heard of in science reports. A planet called Earth. A dangerous, wild planet. A death world. The Kalari Science Council protested. Earth was full of poisonous plants, wild weather, and animals that could kill in seconds. Even the humans, the species that ruled the planet, were known to be violent. They had fought more wars among themselves than most species had in their entire history, but the Council had no other choice. They approved the offer. The humans arrived in a ship that looked old and worn. It was dark gray, with thick armor and burn marks. It did not glide like Kalari ships. It landed with a deep growl and a cloud of dust. Out came 5 humans. Their suits were rough. Their eyes were sharp. They did not bow or smile. They walked like people who had seen too much and were ready to see more. The leader was Captain Jake Harper. He had a square jaw and quiet voice. Next to him was Sergeant Maria Lewis, tall and strong, with eyes that watched everything. Corporal Ben Carter came next, always ready with a small smile, even in a storm. Private Lisa Moore was young, but her movements were fast and sure. The last was Alex Green, the medic, carrying a pack that looked heavier than he was. General Vorel, commander of the Kalari outpost, stepped forward. "You are the reinforcements?" Jake nodded. "Yes." "Show us the field." Vorel stared at them. He had expected a battalion, not a handful of humans. Still, something in Jake's voice made him pause. He gave the order, and the gates opened. The outpost was near the edge of Kalari space. It was the last defense before the next colony. The walls were tall but weak. The towers were half working. The soldiers were scared. Jake looked at the maps. He asked about supply lines, enemy movement, and terrain. Then he gave orders. The humans started working right away. They set up traps, reinforced weak spots, and moved the Kalari troops into better positions. They used simple tools, wires, metal pieces, and parts from broken machines. The Kalari engineers did not understand it. One of them said, "This is not how we build defenses." Ben grinned. "It is now." The next day, a Grawl squad approached. The Kalari panicked. They had never held off a Grawl attack without losing, many, but the humans stood firm. Maria looked at the Kalari soldiers. "Stay down. Watch. Learn." The Grawl charged. They were tall and heavy, covered in black armor with glowing eyes. They moved like tanks, fast and deadly, but they walked right into the traps. Explosions tore through their front line. Hidden wires pulled their legs. Smoke bombs blinded them. The humans opened fire. Quick, sharp shots. Lisa took down 3 in seconds. Ben threw a grenade. Jake called out orders. Maria moved from one cover to another, shooting and shouting. The Kalari watched in shock. The humans were not fighting like them. They were fast, brutal, and smart. They used the ground, the shadows, and even broken machines as weapons. The Grawl pulled back. They left their dead behind. General Vorel stood in silence. Then he walked up to Jake. "You called your planet a death world. I did not believe it." Jake looked at the broken field. "Now you do." From that day, everything changed. The Kalari soldiers began to follow the humans. Maria started daily training. She taught them how to fight close and dirty. Lisa showed them how to shoot from cover. Ben taught them how to build quick traps. Alex gave lessons on treating wounds fast. They worked hard. They did not speak much. They did not complain. They cleaned their weapons, repaired what they could, and rested only when needed. A young Kalari soldier named Relan was afraid of battle. He had seen friends die. Maria took him aside. She showed him how to hold his weapon, how to breathe, and how to stay focused. At first he shook, but with each day he stood straighter. On the 5th day he joined a patrol and did not run. At night, the humans sat outside. The stars above were strange, but they looked up anyway. Jake said, "They called for help. They thought they were getting soldiers." Maria answered, "They got Deathworlders." Ben laughed. "Let the Grawl come again, we are just getting started." Lisa checked her rifle. "They will remember Earth." Alex cleaned his tools. "We are far from home. But this matters." The Kalari watched from the walls. They saw the humans not as simple warriors, but as something more. They came from a world that taught them to survive everything, and now they were teaching others. The outpost had not just gained fighters, it had gained fire. The war had changed, and the Grawl had no idea what was coming next. The Grawl did not rest. After the failed attack, they sent another wave. This time it was bigger. 20 soldiers in heavy armor marched toward the outpost. The Kalari guard saw them through long-range scopes. The alarm rang across the camp. "Captain." Jake Harper stood in the command post with General Varel. A screen showed red dots moving in from the west. Jake nodded. "They're testing us again." Varel looked worried. "They come in larger numbers now." Jake turned to his team. "Let's make them regret it." The humans moved fast. Maria set new traps near the west wall. Ben added more wires and placed hidden charges near the choke point. Lisa climbed to the top of a broken tower with her rifle. Alex stayed in the back with the Kalari medics. Kalari soldiers took position behind walls and shields. Some still looked unsure. Others looked at the humans and felt stronger. The Grawl arrived just before sunset. They came in silence, a wall of dark armor moving through the dust. Then they charged. Their heavy boots shook the ground. Their weapons burned bright as they fired. The first trap exploded under their front line. 2 Grawl were thrown back. The others kept running. Wires snapped tight, pulling legs. Smoke filled the air. Then the humans opened fire. Jake's voice was calm over the radios. "Hold wait now." Shots rang out. Lisa hit 2 before they reached the wall. Ben tossed a small device that sent out a flash and loud sound. The Grawl stumbled, confused. Maria jumped from her hiding spot and shot at close range. Her aim was sharp and fast. The Kalari joined the fight. They followed the human style. No longer hiding, they moved from cover to cover. They shot in short bursts. They shouted to warn each other. Alex treated a Kalari soldier with a burn on his arm. "You're fine. Back in the fight in 1 minute." The battle lasted 20 minutes. When it ended, 12 Grawl were dead. The others ran back into the hills. The Kalari cheered. They had won again. Later that night, General Varel walked through the camp. He saw Kalari soldiers laughing, checking gear, and talking with humans. He stopped by the fire where Jake and his team sat. "You were right," Varel said. "Your people know how to fight." Jake nodded. "We learned the hard way." Varel sat down. "Tell me about Earth." Jake looked into the fire. "It is not an easy place. Big animals, bad storms, many wars. But we learn. We survive." Maria added, "We grew up knowing the world could kill us. So we learned how not to die." Ben smiled. "And we teach that to others." The next morning, training started early. Maria led drills with Kalari squads. She showed them how to move fast, how to check corners, how to fight in close spaces. Ben taught a group how to build a defense line using scrap parts. Lisa gave lessons on aiming and shooting. Alex showed how to stop bleeding with simple tools. Relan, the young Kalari soldier, was better now. He trained with full focus. He did not shake. He helped others who were new. 3 days later, a message came. Another Kalari outpost 100 miles east had gone silent. No word, no help. General Varel called a meeting. "We need to know what happened," he said. "But we cannot risk a large force." Jake stood up. "We'll go. Small team, fast. Maria, Ben, Lisa, and Alex agreed without question. They left before dawn. 2 Kalari scouts joined them. The path was rough, hills, thick brush, and old ruins. They moved without lights. They spoke only when needed. After a long day of travel, they reached the edge of the outpost. It was quiet. Too quiet. The walls were broken. Black marks showed heavy fighting. Bodies lay near the gate. Maria checked the gate. Forced open, they moved inside, weapons ready. The camp was empty, no signs of life, no survivors. Alex bent over a fallen Kalari, dead less than a day. Ben looked around. Where are the Grawl? They should still be here. A sound came from a broken building. Lisa raised her rifle. They moved in slowly. Behind a wall, a small Kalari child hid. He was shaking and covered in dust. Maria knelt down. It's okay. We're here, the child whispered. They left. They took prisoners, they said. They would return. Jake looked at his team. We need to report this now. They sent a message back to the main camp. Then they began searching the area for signs of where the Grawl went. They found tracks leading into the mountains. Jake looked at the map. They're building something, or hiding something. Lisa asked, do we follow? Jake paused. Not yet. We need more gear, more people, but soon. They brought the child back with them. The Kalari at the outpost welcomed him with care. Some wept when they saw him. Others promised revenge. General Varel met Jake at the gates. What did you see? Jake told him everything, the broken walls, the dead, the prisoners, the tracks. Varel said, we need to strike back before it's too late. Jake looked at the horizon. We will, and when we do, they will feel what a Deathworld strike means. The humans had come as help. Now they were something more. They were leaders, teachers, and the sharp edge of a growing blade. The war was not over. It was just starting to turn, and Earth's hand was now deep in the fight. The days passed quickly after the team returned from the ruined outpost. The Kalari soldiers were now different. They trained harder, listened more, and followed the humans without question. Something had changed inside them. They no longer fought to survive. They were ready to strike. Captain Jake Harper stood in front of a large map with General Varel. Red markers showed Grawl positions. Blue markers showed Kalari outposts. Jake pointed to the mountains. They are here, hiding something, maybe building a base. Varel nodded. We cannot wait. If they finish whatever they are planning, we will not be able to stop them. Jake looked at his team. We go in, find it, destroy it. Maria, Ben, Lisa, and Alex were ready. They packed their gear, checked their weapons, and studied the mountain paths. 10 Kalari soldiers joined them. Relin was one of them. They left before first light. The path was steep and rocky. The air grew thin as they climbed, higher. Sometimes they moved in silence. Sometimes they spoke softly, sharing plans. By evening, they reached a ridge and looked down into a hidden valley. What they saw made everyone go quiet. The Grawl had built a base. It was large and half hidden under rock. Metal towers rose from the ground. Lights moved along the walls. Ships landed and took off. Soldiers marched in rows. Maria used her scope. Prisoners, Kalari, in cages. Alex sighed. We need to get them out. Jake studied the area. We cannot take this place head on. Too many guards. Too much firepower. Ben smiled. Then we hit it like we hit everything else, from the inside. Quick, sharp, then gone. They waited until night. Lisa found a hidden path that led to a weak spot in the wall. Ben planted a charge. When it blew, they slipped through the smoke. Inside, they moved fast. Lisa and Relin took the high ground. Maria led a team to the cages. Jake and Ben headed for the power core. Alex followed with 2 Kalari medics. They carried supplies to help the prisoners. At the cages, Maria took down 2 guards. Raylan used hand signs to direct others. They cut the locks and pulled the prisoners out. Some could walk. Others had to be carried. Jake and Ben reached the core. It was inside a deep metal room. Wires ran everywhere. Ben set charges on the key points. Jake kept watch. Lisa gave cover from a tower. Her shots were fast and clean. No wasted rounds, no missed targets. Alarms started to ring. Red lights flashed. The Grawl were coming. Jake called out on the radio. "Move now. We're out in 3 minutes." Maria's team carried the last prisoners through the smoke. Ben clicked the timer on the charges. 2 minutes. Let's go. They fought their way out. Grawl soldiers appeared from all sides. Lasers flew past them. But the humans did not stop. The Kalari followed close, covering each, other shooting as they moved. Lisa stayed behind until the last second, then ran down to join them. Alex helped a wounded prisoner limp along. They reached the edge of the valley just as the charges exploded. A bright flash lit the sky. The sound echoed off the mountain walls. Fire rose from the enemy base. Jake looked back. That should slow them down. The team moved quickly through the night. By dawn, they reached safe ground. A transport ship picked them up and flew them back to the outpost. The rescued prisoners were weak but alive. The Kalari cheered when they returned. Vorel met them at the landing pad. "You did more than we hoped," he said. Jake shook his head. "This is not over. They'll come harder now." Vorel nodded. "Then we must be ready." The outpost became a hive of work. Walls were rebuilt, weapons upgraded, more traps were placed. Kalari, civilians were moved to safer places. Maria trained new fighters. Ben improved the base's power and shield systems. Lisa taught scouts how to move without being seen. Alex helped build a new medic station. One night, Raylan sat with Jake near the watchtower. "Why do you help us?" Raylan asked. Jake looked at the stars. "Because we know what it's like to be left alone. We won't let it happen to others." Raylan said, "You fight like no one else. You act without fear." Jake smiled. "Fear never goes away. We just learn to move through it." The next day, they got word that the Grawl were gathering again. A fleet was forming, bigger than before, headed for the Kalari homeworld. General Vorel called a council. Leaders from other colonies came. Some were afraid. Others wanted to run. Jake stood and spoke. "They want to end this war. We won't let them. We hit first, hit hard." The room went quiet. Vorel looked around. "We stand together. We strike as one." The humans would lead the charge. The Kalari would follow. Together they would carry the fight to the Grawl. As the sun rose the next morning, the air was full of movement. Ships were fueled, troops boarded, weapons were checked. Jake stood with his team watching the sky. "They asked for reinforcements," he said. Maria answered. "They got Deathworlders." Ben added, "Now the Grawl will know what that means." They stepped into their ship ready for the next battle. Behind them a new army rose, one trained by humans, one that had learned how to fight without fear. The war was far from over, but now it had a new name: revenge. The human and Kalari forces moved through space in silence. The ships flew in tight formation. Inside each one, soldiers checked their weapons and armor. They knew what waited for them on the Kalari homeworld: a full Grawl fleet, a final strike. Jake stood in the command ship looking at the stars ahead. Maria was next to him studying the map. Lisa checked her rifle, while Ben and Alex worked with Kalari engineers to ready the landing pods. The plan was simple. The main fleet would attack from orbit. Smaller strike teams would land behind enemy lines to destroy weapons and cause chaos. The humans would lead those teams. General Vorel joined Jake on the bridge. "Our people are scared," he said. Jake nodded. "So were we, before we learned how to win." The Kalari general looked at him. "We believe now, because of you." Jake said, "Then let's finish this." The fleet dropped out of lightspeed near the Kalari homeworld. The planet below was blue and green, with wide oceans and large cities, but the space above it was full of danger. Grawl warships waited, in a wall of steel and fire. The battle started at once. Lasers lit the sky, ships spun and fired. Explosions flashed everywhere. The humans' command ship shook as they pushed forward. Jake gave the signal. "Strike teams, launch!" Pods shot, out from the ships like bullets. They burned through the sky, heading for the surface. Maria, Ben, Lisa, and Alex were in separate pods, each leading a Kalari team. Maria's pod landed near a large cannon. The Grawl had placed it to shoot down ships. She and her team rushed forward. They fought in close combat, using speed and surprise. She climbed the tower, planted a charge, and jumped off as the cannon exploded behind her. Ben's team landed in a power station. He knew where the weak points were. He and 2 Kalari soldiers placed charges and escaped just before. The building blew apart, leaving the area in darkness. Lisa moved through the ruins of a city. She sniped from rooftops, clearing the way for Kalari troops to take ground. Her aim was perfect. 1 shot, 1 enemy down. She kept moving, never staying in one place. Alex's team found a group of prisoners hidden in an old building. He helped treat their wounds and led them to safety while Kalari soldiers fought off the guards. Above the planet, the battle in space grew worse. The Grawl had more ships, but the humans fought like no one else. They took hits and kept flying. 1 human ship crashed into a Grawl warship and exploded, taking it down with it. On the surface, Jake led a direct attack on the enemy command base. It was inside a mountain, protected by heavy guns and guards. His team moved through tunnels, silent and fast. They used hand signs to speak. Every step was planned. Inside the mountain, the Grawl commander waited. He was tall and strong, with black armor and red eyes. He had fought many wars and won most of them. He believed the Kalari were weak, but he had not faced humans like these before. Jake and his team broke into the command center. A short fight followed. 1 human and 2 Kalari were lost, but the enemy commander was killed. Jake took the enemy's maps and sent them to the fleet. With the base destroyed, the Grawl began to fall back. Their ships in orbit lost direction. Kalari forces on the ground pushed harder. The tide turned. General Vorel's voice came over the radio. "The enemy is broken. Finish them." One by one, the Grawl ships exploded or fled. On the ground, their forces surrendered or ran. Cities that had fallen stood free again. When the last shot was fired, the humans and Kalari stood together. They were tired, burned, wounded, but alive. Jake stood in the ruins of the enemy base. The wind blew dust across the rocks. Maria walked up beside him. "We did it," she said. Jake nodded. "We all did." Later that night, a ceremony was held in the main city. Kalari leaders spoke of the humans. They called them heroes. They called them brothers and sisters. They told stories of how the Deathworlders came when no one else would. Relin stood before the crowd. He wore a new uniform, one that marked him as a leader. He said, "The humans showed us how to fight, how to stand, how to win. We will never forget." Jake and his team stood at the back, quiet. They did not want medals. They only wanted to know the fight had meant something. General Vorel found them. "You are no longer guests here," he said. "You are part of this world now." Ben smiled. "Does that mean we can build better defenses?" Vorel laughed. "It means you can do whatever you want." For the first time in weeks, there was peace. But Jake knew peace did not last forever. He gathered his team the next morning. "We don't know if the Grawl are truly gone," he said. "But we do know one thing. If they come back, they won't find us the same." Maria said, "They'll find fighters." Lisa added, "They'll find unity." Ben nodded. "They'll find Deathworlders." The sun rose over the Kalari homeworld. The people were safe. The war was won. But the humans stayed, not as saviors, as allies. Because sometimes the best way to win a war is to teach others how to survive. And sometimes all it takes is for the right people to show up at the right time. They asked for reinforcements. What they got were Deathworlders. The weeks passed after the battle for the Kalari homeworld. Peace returned to the cities. Families came out of hiding. The wounded were cared for. Old buildings were rebuilt. The Kalari people had survived, but the humans did not leave. Jake and his team stayed to train the Kalari. They built schools, taught tactics, and helped plan defenses. Every city had watchtowers now. Every outpost had stronger walls. The Kalari had learned what it meant to fight like Deathworlders. In the center of the capital city, a new base was built. It had walls of steel and towers that reached high into the sky. The flag of the Kalari flew beside the flag of Earth. Inside that base, humans and Kalari worked side by side. One day, Jake stood at the command table with General Vorel. "Anything from the Grawl?" Jake asked. "Nothing," Vorel said. "No messages, no ships, no sign of them." Jake looked at the map. Too quiet. Maria entered the room. She handed a data pad to Jake. "Something's moving on the edge of Kalari space. Small signals. Strange ones," she said. Jake studied the readings. "They're not Grawl, but they're not friendly either." Vorel frowned. "Another enemy?" "Maybe," Jake said. "Or maybe someone watching us." Ben joined them, followed by Lisa and Alex. They had been checking the defense grid. "We should go check it out," Ben said. "No reason to wait until it comes to us." Jake nodded. "We take a scout ship, small team, in and out." The next day, the humans launched in a fast ship with a Kalari pilot. They moved beyond the last colony, into the dark parts of space, where few went. After 2 days, they found the source of the signal. It came from a small moon. The moon looked dead, but their scanners picked up energy below the surface. They landed in a valley and entered a hidden tunnel. It was cold and quiet. Strange metal walls lined the path. Lights blinked slowly, like the place was half asleep. Deep inside, they found a room full of machines. In the center stood a tall figure. Not Grawl, not human. It had thin arms, glowing eyes, and strange armor. It did not move. Lisa aimed her rifle. "What is it?" Alex scanned it. Not alive. Some kind of drone. Old tech, maybe very old. Jake stepped closer. A screen on the wall came to life. Symbols flashed. Then a voice spoke in many languages until it reached one they understood. "Warning. Observation unit active. Conflict detected. Preparing report." Maria whispered. "It was watching us." The voice continued. "War status recorded. Deathworlder presence confirmed. Return to command for full report." Then the machine went dark. The tunnel shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Jake said, "We leave. Now." They ran back to the ship. As they flew away, the moon's surface cracked. The machines below destroyed themselves. Everything went silent. Back on the Kalari homeworld, the team met with Vorel. Jake showed him the recording. Someone was watching the war. Not helping, just watching. Vorel said. "Who?" "We don't know," Maria said. "But they know about us now." Jake looked around the room. "The Grawl may not come back, but others might. We need to be ready." So the work continued. New weapons were made. New fighters trained. The humans shared what they knew about other species in the galaxy. They helped the Kalari build a force that could defend itself. 1 year later, a large station was built in orbit. It was named Unity Point. It had docks for ships, rooms for leaders, and places for training. It became a meeting place for all Kalari colonies and their human allies. At the opening ceremony, Jake stood in front of the crowd. "We came here to help," he said. "Now we stand with you, as brothers, as sisters, as people who choose to fight for each other." The Kalari cheered. Their voices filled the station. After the speech, Relin joined Jake and his team. "You turned us into something new," he said. Jake smiled. "No, you always had the strength. We just showed you how to use it." Lisa looked at the stars. "You think those Watchers will return?" Ben said. "If they do, they won't find a weak world." Alex added, "They'll find Deathworlders, and they'll think twice." Maria nodded. Because this time the fight won't be alone. It will be all of us. Together. The humans did not go home. They made their home there on a world that had once called for help, a world that had become strong. The story of the war spread. Other worlds heard about the Deathworlders. Some feared them. Others reached out. One by one, more allies came, and, across the stars in hidden places, watchers took note. They had asked for reinforcements. What they got were Deathworlders. And now the galaxy knew what that meant. Months after Unity Point became fully active, strange signals started to appear again. They were weak, but they came from deep space, beyond known systems. The Kalari scanners had never seen anything like them. The humans had. Jake sat in the command room, looking at the signal reports. Maria leaned over his shoulder. Ben stood near the wall, arms crossed. Lisa and Alex listened without speaking. It's the same pattern, Jake said. Same kind of signal we found on that moon. Maria frowned. Could be another observer, or worse. Vorel joined them. He had aged in the last year. His face was thinner, but his eyes were sharp. We have picked up movement near the edge of Kalari space, Vorel said. Fast ships. They do not respond to messages. Jake looked at the app. We go out there. We need to see who they are. This time they took 2 scout ships. One had a human crew. The other had Kalari pilots and gunners. They flew fast, silent, careful not to reveal themselves. After 2 days, they found a strange object. It looked like a ship, but it had no lights, no weapons. Just a dark surface, smooth like glass. It floated without moving. Lisa scanned it. No life signs, but power is active. Ben said, this isn't a warship, it's a probe. Jake agreed. They're watching again. We destroy it. They fired. The object broke into pieces. No explosion, just silence. Then suddenly, more signals appeared. On the scanners, they know, Maria said. Whoever sent that thing, they just got a message back. They returned to Unity Point. More ships were being built. More Kalari were being trained. But this new threat felt different. It was quiet, cold, like something waiting. Jake stood before the council, made of Kalari leaders and human officers. There is something bigger out there, he said. The Grawl were strong, but they were simple. They attacked. These others are patient, smart. They study. Vorel asked, what do we do? We prepare, Jake answered. We make allies. We find other races like the Kalari. If we stand alone, we fall. So the mission changed. Unity Point became a beacon. They sent out messages to distant stars. Some replies came from unknown voices. A few were friendly. Others were silent. The first new ally came from a desert world. They were called the Trin. They were short, fast, and full of questions. Their ships were old, but their minds were sharp. They wanted to learn. The second group came from a water world. The Velans, tall, smooth-skinned, with deep voices and sad eyes. They had lost their own war years ago. They still remembered. Jake met with the leaders of both races. He told them what had happened. He showed them how the humans had helped the Kalari. He told them the truth about the Watchers. They see us now, he said, and we cannot hide, but we can stand together. Back at Unity Point, Maria and Lisa trained a group of mixed fighters. Humans, Kalari, Trin, and Velans. They worked through their differences. Some were fast, some were strong, some were smart. Together they were better. Alex helped design new defense systems. He took parts from all the Allied ships and made something new, something no single race could make alone. Ben worked with the Trin to build scout drones. They were small and fast. They could go far and send back reports before anyone knew they were there. The Allies grew. One station became 3. A path was drawn across space guarded by fighters and patrols. Then one day the Watchers came. It started with a shadow. A black ship, bigger than anything seen before, moved into the edge of Kalari space. It did not speak. It did not fire. It just waited. Jake was called to the command center. Vorel stood at the screen. "They are not doing anything," Vorel said. "That is the problem," Jake replied. "They want us to move first." The Allies were called. Ships gathered near Unity Point. Thousands of lives waited for Jake's order. He opened a message and sent it to the black ship. "We are not afraid. We will not attack first, but if you do, we will answer." There was no reply. Then a second black ship appeared. Then a third. They formed a line. Silent. Cold. The fighters moved to meet them, but Jake ordered them to hold. "They want fear," he said. "They won't get it." For 3 days, the black ships waited. Then they turned and left. No shots fired. No words spoken after. "They were gone," Vorel said. "What does it mean?" Jake looked at the stars. "It means they were not ready, but one day they will be." Maria stood beside him. "And we will be ready too." Jake nodded. "Not just us. All of us. Together." The galaxy had changed. A world once weak had become strong. A people once alone had found allies, and the Watchers had seen something they had not expected. They had seen unity. They had seen hope. They had seen Deathworlders, and they had turned away. For now, a full year passed after the black ships left Kalari space. Unity Point grew larger. More allies came. Trade began between the races. New routes were drawn on star maps. Patrols kept watch. The name of the Deathworlders was now known across many systems, but in the quiet, something darker was growing. Jake sat in the main hall of Unity Point with Vorel and leaders from the Trin and Valens. A report had come in. A mining colony on the edge of Velan space had gone dark. No signal. No warning, Maria said. She handed Jake the report. Just silence. Ben leaned over the table. Could be pirates, or something worse. Jake nodded. We go there. We see it ourselves. They left in a cruiser, joined by 2 Trin scouts and 1 Valen ship. The trip took 3 days. When they arrived, they saw the colony from orbit. It was still there, but no lights, no movement. Lisa scanned it. No life signs, no power. Alex looked at the readings. No damage on the outside, everything looks untouched. They landed in the center square. The buildings were still standing. Tools were left on the ground. Doors were open. Food still sat on tables, but there were no people. Jake walked through the streets. His boots made the only sound. Where are they? He said. Maria entered a control room. She powered it up with a portable unit. The last log showed no attack, no escape. People were working, then suddenly, the log ended. Alex found a strange mark on the wall in one of the homes. It was a symbol, one not seen before. It glowed faint blue. It felt cold to the touch. This wasn't the Grawl, Lisa said. And it wasn't the Watchers either. This is new. They returned to Unity Point and reported to the council. Jake stood in front of the gathered leaders. Something has happened. Something we do not understand. We must be careful. Many agreed. Others wanted to stay back. The Trin leader, Dovin, spoke. We have lost scouts too, small ones. They vanish without trace. The Valen elder, Serene, said, There is fear among our people. Some think we made a mistake joining this alliance. Vorel stood. We stand together, we do not run, we find the truth. Jake nodded. Then we hunt. They sent scouts to the edges of Allied space. Each ship had strict orders: scan, report, return, no contact. No risk. 3 weeks passed. Then one scout came back. It was a Trin pilot. She had seen something in a dead system far from the Kalari border. She showed them a recording. A ship made of black metal, shaped like a needle. It had no windows. No engines they could see. But it moved fast, very fast. Then she showed the next part. A group of small ships followed it. These were different. Smaller, fast, with curved bodies and glowing parts. They saw one of those smaller ships catch a Velan patrol. It didn't fire. It just touched the ship. The Velan ship stopped moving. Its lights went out. Its signal died. Jake called for silence in the hall. "We do not understand this enemy," he said. "But it is here. We have no choice but to prepare again." They named the enemy the Silent Ones. It was not clear if they were machines or something else. No one had made contact. No one had survived it. So a new defense was built. Unity Point became the center of a wider net. Outposts were built near the dark systems, each with faster ships, better scanners. Alex helped build weapons that could work without signals. Ben trained pilots to fly blind. Lisa taught soldiers how to move without making sound. Maria worked on signals. She found strange code in the data, left behind by the vanished colony. It wasn't a message, it was more like a feeling, cold, empty. "They use fear," she said. "It's not just attack, they want silence. They want to erase." Jake listened, he said. "Then we fight not just with guns, but with voices. We speak. We tell others. We do not let them silence us." They sent messages to all known systems. Warnings, reports, truth. Many races ignored them. Some believed. A few sent scouts of their own. Then the Silent One struck again. A trade convoy between Kalari and Velan space was hit. The lead ship vanished. The others saw a shadow move across the stars. No sound, just one blink of light, and it was gone. Jake stood before the council once more. His voice was clear. "This is not just war. This is survival. We must face it together." And the council voted. All allies agreed. A joint fleet would be made. The first of its kind. Ships from every world. Pilots from every race. Fighters trained to face the unknown. Jake was made leader of the fleet. Vorel became commander of the defense line. Maria led the signal team. Ben, Lisa, and Alex each had their own squads. A new ship was built. Bigger than any before, strong, fast, smart. It was named Torch because it would bring light to the dark. Jake stood on its bridge the day it launched. He looked at the stars. "We do not fear you," he said quietly. "We are not silent. We are still here." And the torch moved forward, into the dark, toward the unknown. The Deathworlders had once come to save one world. Now they stood to protect many. And still the Watchers watched. And still, the Silent Ones listened. But this time, the galaxy had voices that would not go quiet.